We on the record in cause number 319856, the state of Texas versus Devon Fontenette. Mr. Fontenette is not in the courtroom. Mr. Billy, would you please call the name of Devon Fontenette or Fontenette?
Devon Fontenette. Devon Fontenette. No response, Your Honor.
Devon Fontenette was scheduled to be in court for arraignment at 9 a.m. on today's date, December 1st of 2020. Mr. Fontenette's name was called at or about 9 a.m. He did not answer. The time now is 12:47 p.m. on today's date. The bailiff just called the name again. Mr. Fontenette did not answer. Therefore, reasonable time has passed for Mr. Fontenette to appear in court for the arraignment. Therefore, his bond will be forfeited. State, you have any objections?
No objections from the state.
We also on the record in cause number 327354, the state of Texas versus Luis Alvarez. Mr. Alvarez is not present in court. Mr. Bailiff, would you please call the name of Luis Alvarez?
Luis Alvarez. Luis Alvarez. No response, Your Honor.
Mr. Luis Alvarez is scheduled to be in court for 9 a.m. on today's date for the arraignment. And today's date is December 1st of 2020. Mr. Alvarez name was called at or about 9 a.m. He did not answer, and his name was just called by the bailiff. He did not answer. The time is 12:47 p.m. on today's date. A reasonable time has passed to give Mr. Alvarez an opportunity to appear in court for the arraignment. He did not appear, therefore his bond will be forfeited. State, do you have any objections?
No objections.
No objections, Stacy. Mr. Alvarez's bond will be forfeited and a warrant will be issued for his arrest. Cause number 327358. Cynthia Handy. Cynthia Handy is not present in the courtroom. She was scheduled to be here at 9 a.m. Her name was called at or about 9 a.m. She did not appear. Mr. Bailiff, would you call the name of Cynthia Handy?
Cynthia Handy. Cynthia Handy. No response, Your Honor.
Ms. Cynthia Handy name was just called for the second time. And the time is 12:48 p.m. on the day's date. December 1st of 2020, Ms. Handy was supposed to appear in court at 9 a.m. for the arraignment. Her name was called at or about 9 a.m. She did not answer, and she did not answer the second time. A reasonable time has passed to give Ms. Handy opportunity to appear in court for arraignment. Therefore, her bond will be forfeited. State, you have any objections?
No objections.
A warrant will be issued for the arrest of Cynthia Handy. Bond will be forfeited. In cause numbers 327358 and cause number 327894. We're on the record in cause number 327370, the state of Texas versus Sarah Lunsford. Mr. Lunsford was scheduled to be in court for arraignment at 9 a.m. on today's date, December 1st of 2020. Ms. Lunsford is not in court. Her name was called at or about 9 a.m. She did not answer. Mr. Bailiff, would you call the name of Sarah Lunsford?
Sarah Lunsford. Sarah Lunsford. No response.
Miss Sarah Lunsford's name was just called again for the second time at the courthouse door. Miss Lunsford did not answer this time either. Reasonable time, and the time is 12:45 p.m. on today's date. Reasonable time has passed for Ms. Lunsford to appear in court for the arraignment. She did not appear, therefore bond will be forfeited. State, do you have any objections?
No objections.
No objections. A warrant will also be issued for her arrest. We're on the record in cause number 327388, cause number 327922. Both cases established state of Texas versus Matthew Parker. Mr. Parker was to be in court for 9 a.m. Mr. Parker's name was called at or about 9 a.m. He did not answer. The time now is 1:46 p.m. on the day's date, December 1st of 2020. Mr. Bailiff, would you please call the name of Matthew Parker?
Matthew Parker. Matthew Parker. No response, Your Honor.
Mr. Parker's name was again called at this time at 12:46 PM. There was no answer. A reasonable time has passed to give Mr. Parker an opportunity to appear in court for the arraignment of both of these cases. Therefore, a warrant will be issued for his arrest and his bond will be forfeited. State, you have any objections?
No objection.
No objections. That shall be the order of the court. We're on the record in cause number 327402, cause number 327404, and cause number 327406. All three cases are styled the state of Texas versus James Johnson. Mr. Johnson was scheduled to be in court for arraignment at 9 a.m. on today's date, December 1st of 2020, and he did not appear. His name was called at or about 9 a.m. He did not answer. He is not in court. Mr. Bailiff, would you please call the name of James Johnson?
James Johnson. James Johnson. No response, Your Honor.
The time is 12:47 p.m. on today's date, December 1st of 2020. Mr. James Johnson's name was called by the bailiff at the courthouse door. He did not answer. Therefore, a reasonable time has passed to give him an opportunity to appear in court for the arraignment for these three cases. He did not appear. His bond will be forfeited. State, you have any objections?
No objection.
And a warrant shall be issued for his arrest in all three cases. Johnny Longneon. Mr. Johnny Longneon in cause number 327462 is not in court. He was required to be in court for the arraignment docket, which was at 9 a.m. on today's date of December 1st. Mr. Longneon's name was called at or about 9 a.m. He did not answer, and he's not in court. Mr. Bailiff, would you please call the name of Johnny Longneon?
Johnny Longyon. Johnny Longyon. No response, Your Honor.
Mr. Johnny Longneon's name was just called at the courthouse door for the second time, and he did not answer. A reasonable time has passed to give Mr. Longneon an opportunity to appear in court for the arraignment. Did not appear. Therefore, his bond will be forfeited. A warrant will be issued for his arrest. Do you have any objections?
No objections.
Sandra Torres. Miss Sandra Torres was required to be in court this morning for the court's announcement for the court arraignment docket, which was scheduled at 9 a.m. on the day's date of December 1st of 2020. Miss Sandra Torres' name was called at about 9 a.m. by the court's bailiff. She did not answer, and she is not in court. Mr. Bailiff, would you please call the name of Sandra Torres?
Sandra Torres. Sandra Torres. No response, Your Honor.
Ms. Torres' name was again called by the bailiff, and the time is 12:49 p.m. on the day's date of December 1st of 2020. A reasonable time has passed to give Ms. Sandra Torres an opportunity to appear in court. She's not here. Therefore, her bond will be forfeited and a warrant will be issued for her arrest. State, you have any objections?
No objection.
We on the record in cause number 327476, cause number 327870. Both cases are styled the state of Texas versus Amron Jackson. Mr. Jackson was scheduled to be in court for the arraignment at 9 a.m. on today's date of December 1st of 2020. His name was called at or about 9 a.m. by the bailiff of the court. He did not answer. Mr. Bailiff, would you please call the name of Amron Jackson?
Amron Jackson. Amron Jackson. No response, Your Honor.
Mr. Amron Jackson's name was called a second time by the bailiff, and the time is 12:55 p.m. on today's date of December 1st of 2020. He did not answer. Reasonable time has passed to give Mr. Jackson an opportunity to appear in court. Therefore, warrant will be issued for his arrest. His bond shall be forfeited. State, you have any objections?
No objections.
Okay, no objections. Warrant will be issued for the arrest and of Mr. Jackson. Jamal Cherish. Jamal Karras. Mr. Jamal Karras is not present in the courtroom. He was required to be in court for the arraignment docket. He did not appear. His name was called at or about 9 a.m. on today's date of December 1st of 2020. He's not in the courtroom. Mr. Bailiff, would you please call the name of Jamal Karras?
Jamal Carlos. Jamal Carter. No response, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Jamal Karras' name was called by the bailiff. The time is 12:46 p.m. on the day's date of December 1st of 2020. Mr. Karras did not answer. Reasonable time has passed to give Mr. Karras an opportunity to appear in court for the arraignment. He did not answer, therefore his bond will be forfeited. A warrant will be issued for his arrest. State, you have any objections?
No objections.
No objections? All right, that will conclude the calling of the arraignment docket. Okay, you're welcome. Almost miscarriage.
He would not, he didn't want